Hey guys, it's Trey Vlog here. What's going on? So tonight we're playing the demo of the upcoming remake of Trails in the Sky First Chapter. Hashtag play Trails. Hashtag best JRPG series. And I kind of want to talk about the state of NRS in the Legacy Collection in particular. Just gonna be grinding in the background here. So there's I feel like, I'm gonna be honest, so am I glad for like the MK fandom getting this collection? I guess I am, but surely I'm not the only one who sees it. This looks like a really desperate Hail Mary right now, at least in my opinion. It really looks like to me that this is kind of a panic attempt to salvage some goodwill from the way that MK1 has just kind of fallen out. Once again, I know some people are going to accuse me of like turning on the game here. I still like MK1, although I'm kind of bored of it right now. And I think it needed a better patch than what it got. And I guess we're going to talk about that too. So I'm going to talk about the Legacy Collection, I guess, and the patch. So I want to talk about the Legacy Collection first, because, like, well-intentioned, good idea, but I don't agree with its execution. So what do I mean by that? So it's cool to have all the 2D games. All right. I think that is neat, including even Game Toy titles, and I am kind of interested in the WaveNet version of UNK3. That is a lost media thing, so that's pretty cool. But the thing is, aside from that, I don't know, like, I may be, like, speaking out of turn here, right? Because I don't actually know how what you could say the average MK fan would feel about this. But when I think about Legacy Collection, like, of course it makes sense what they're doing. But when I think about Legacy Collection, I think about, like, a celebration of the franchise. And when I think about a celebration of the franchise, I think that means, like, you bring back a solid, lean collection of some of the greatest hits, right? So, personally for me, like, I would have been much more interested in this collection if it had been UNK3, MKDA, and MK9, all with rollback and with maybe some balance improvements or bug fixes. This just feels like a way to overload the consumer with a lot of like bells and whistles, because like, listen, I just don't see anybody, I'm gonna be honest here, right? I'm all for games preservation, completely, but I just don't know who in the fuck in 2025 is actually going to want to play MK1. Like, I almost have a feeling, we'll see, I have a feeling that no one except maybe the old heads will fool around with MK1, that collection, for maybe more than 15 minutes, and they'll never touch it again. If anyone even touches MK1, that collection, I'm not even convinced that'll happen. Yeah, it's just like, I hate to be a critic here, but it does feel like a desperate attempt at salvaging some money out of the profit loss of MK1, instead of like doing a collection that's like from the heart and in celebration of the MK brand, you know? And I hate that I have to be critical like that, but I feel like it's important to point out right now. I just don't think this collection right now is worth the money, man. Especially because I don't even think, if I recall correctly, someone can correct me maybe, we still don't even know what the edition of Trilogy is that's on it. And having Trilogy rollback could be cool too. I like Trilogy too. So like, I could go with that, maybe, but yeah, I'm personally just not impressed. It's not the kind of thing I would have preferred to have ended up with. Now, and I would have done what I said. And maybe, so, to reiterate, with a UMK3, MKDA, MK9, and then maybe even MK versus DC. Maybe. I don't know. But like, I feel like this needed to be more of a banger. This needed to be more of like a very lean, effective product, right? That collection I just said would have been like a haymaker to the jaw, and I just kind of feel like this is like they're just throwing a bunch of confetti at you, trying to get you to sort of like think that this is good value for the money. I guess it is, but once again, I have to go back to how many people are actually going to bother to play MK1 for any significant amount of time? How many people are actually going to play MK2 for a significant amount of time? Fuck, even MK4. MK4 is a god-awful game. Like, I feel like anyone who buys this collection, the problem is, I feel like half of the games are going to be irrelevant to you. Maybe over half the games. And there might even be some people who they may only be buying the game to have rollback on one game. You know, there might be people who are only interested in that WaveNet edition of UMK3, for example. So, like, I don't even know if it's a good deal. Now, I don't remember what the actual price of it is right now. If they're charging full price or they're doing something else, but even if they're not charging full price, even if the thing was $30, even if it was $40, I just don't know. Personally, I'm definitely not impressed. Yeah, I was talking with Tom about this, and that's all I can say right now. It feels desperate to me, personally. Especially with, like, what they put in the collection and how much, like... I gotta be honest, personally, I'm pretty disappointed that instead of giving us MKDA, they gave us two different shitty handheld port versions of MKDA. That really makes zero sense to me. That is something no one is going to play. I assure you of that. You know, obviously not literally no one, but you know what I mean. Like, it's gonna be played so rarely. I would be very surprised if they even accounted for, like, an actual 1% of the play time across every purchase. So I'm especially disappointed with that. I personally think if any games need re-releases like this, it should be the 3D games. That's my opinion. Like, and also, let's be honest here, as much as I wouldn't care for it, I would still play it just to be, like, with the community on a current game or whatever. But it kind of baffles me that they're bothering to do all this work with Digital Eclipse when we know the one thing that they could just do that would be so easy to do, that would be instant profit, would be just to give us that MK9 with rollback re-release.
That should do it.
That would hit so hard. So many people on the NRS scene would instantly flock to that. Like, I just don't know why they don't just, like, give in on that. And I don't even think MK9's, like, a great game. I appreciate it for its place in the franchise and all that, but, you know, I don't even think it's a good game, really. I think it just... It was good for the time because, you know, it was the start of NRS taking the making fighting games seriously thing, you know? So, I think that matters, but I don't know. Do we really want to play against, like, Cyrax that one-touched you and Cabal with instant-air gas blast in 2025? I think a lot of people would, even with that, I think they would find that they don't like it as much as they think they did. But I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think about that on that front. Now, once again, I'm not hating on it totally because I do like, for game preservation reasons, I like its existence. But if you're an MK fan, I'm not sure this is it. and I tend to be different in the way I consume the media I like and stuff. Okay, so I accept that I'm speaking from maybe a totally foreign perspective, but when it comes to a franchise I care about, I would have preferred something that was more precise and directed. But I don't know. The problem with MK is it's definitely in an identity crisis right now, but it's also struggling with that. I think that MK kind of needs to reevaluate its identity, right? There are some things where it's like they need to go back to the basics, but some of it, I think there needs to be entire reevaluations of the things that are thought to comprise or make up MK. And that's another video I'm going to make sometime soon. I don't know when I'll make that one. But, yeah. Next, let's talk about this patch, shall we? So, here's my opinion about this patch. In a nutshell. But obviously I'm going to go into more detail. You know I like to yap. Okay. So, was this a game-changing patch? Sort of, but not really. If you... the problem with this patch, right? I'm gonna be honest. I appreciate them releasing it, but it feels like a patch that they released so that people would stop bugging them. I think they were just tired of hearing about T1000, tired of hearing about the state of the game and everything. And so... You know, admittedly, because NRS players are children, they thought they could throw us a couple of bones and maybe that would make us shut up. And I do like some of the changes. I really like the emphasis. A lot of people don't seem to notice that there is a definite emphasis and attempt to improve defense in the game. The fact that they buffed all the invincible wake-ups and invincible reversals with cameos is really huge. So many of those moves were dog shit. For those purposes, they were almost not usable because their iframes are so few. So I like that, and as much as I know people don't like it, I do like Stryker coming back to his current power level. I do, because he also helps the game be like more diverse playstyle wise. People can argue about that whether they want to or not, but he definitely helps you play more defensively. And because in certain matchups against certain characters, you're still able to call grenades from out of the corner with them off screen. You can still do that. So I personally, I'm just fine with that. Like I really don't care. But at the same time, it's like it's not enough. They still left some characters almost practically untouched that seemed like crazy to me. And they like gutted T1000. I didn't want them to kill T1000, but they destroyed that character, dog. They destroyed that character. I don't even know how he can play the game anymore at the highest level anyway, of course. Like, I'm only thinking competitively here because that's what I'm interested in, right? I'm sure you'll be able to at mid-level, intermediate level, you'll still be able to do work with him, but not only now is his two parts of his mix-up OSable, he doesn't even have a mix-up anymore. Right? He doesn't even have mix-up anymore. His ideal cameo requires him to lose health. Like, the way that they handle addressing T1000 was just not good at all. And I feel bad, you know, especially I'll admit I'm a little biased because, you know, Tweety's my boy. And he's been kind of fucked over by this patch, dog. People, I don't think people, and, you know, I'm not going to blame those people because they don't know better, right? But people who do not understand MK at the highest level and the trends of NRS games, you guys do not understand that those T1000 nerfs killed Tweety's final combat run. They did. They absolutely did. And I'm still gonna pull through for him. You know, Tweety's a great player, but in NRS games, you can only outplay the current patch so much. There's a limit. you're hard capped on what you can do with that. And so I don't like that for sure. I really that definitely felt like a change they made just to shut people up. And I personally, for me, it kind of annoys me when they do those kind of changes. You know, you could tell there are changes they make just because they want people to shut up about this or that. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but I feel like they do this a lot. And so as for like the rest of the patch, like they did nerf the other top tiers, but like Ghostface didn't get anything done to him. Ghostface? Like Ghostface might be legit top 1. Like literally no changes. The character has a free, essentially what amounts to a combo breaker if he changes stances. Am I the only one who sees the problem here? Like, you can't leave that character alone. And, yeah, they kind of hit Homelander, but they didn't hit Homelander in the way he needed. He's essentially the same. Like, so they gutted T-1000 randomly, like, they fucking killed that character. In Cyrax, like, yes, preventing her from winning trade wars and zoning was a good thing, objectively. But there still needs to be something else done, man. I am on the verge of saying a couple of things that might be controversial. For starters, I am almost tempted to say that if you tech the command grab, it should be full combo punishable. It's a 50-50 yes, it's command grab. I'm just kind of feeling like that now. It's techable anyway, but I feel like they should make it punishable if you tech it correctly. I am sure there will be people who do not like that suggestion in the slightest. And I understand if you don't. I completely understand, but I don't care because I care about what's best for the game itself. And that is one thing that is not good for the game. Not at all. I don't even know what the fuck they could do, I guess, if I'm being honest. But I don't like the way that they've handle like some of the characters that they're complaining about, and then the way they just kind of disregarded others. And not to mention that, like, I am at the point now where, yes, the game kind of needs buffs from the lower tiers. Like, especially because they just don't seem to be interested in handling the game any other way. If all they want to do is keep buffing the weaker characters, which is fine. The problem is they're not doing it enough. You know, like, there has to be more done. Like, and I would really like that to happen. And listen, I would like Smoke to get some buffs done. Like, I'm ready. Like, there are some, like, weaknesses within the context of the game personally that I am... Are you kidding me? There are some things I am tired of playing around now. I'm just kind of over a lot of like Smoke shortcomings, and I feel like I'm pretty reasonable. I don't think I'm unreasonable when it comes to like the way that I look at my character and the things I want. But I definitely feel like, how do I put this? I definitely feel like a lot of the lower tier characters need love. The other problem, though, is even if they do that, they've been doing the buffs they've done, in my opinion, are kind of very boring, the way they're going about it. Which is why I think I would have rather there be no patch at all and just do it after Final Combat. And I think that's fair to say, because I could be wrong, But I just have a feeling, mark my words, I have a feeling that we're going to see a patch after Final Combat, and it'll be the big kind of patch that we were wanting for the game. In which case, if they were going to do that, like, they should have just waited. Like, people could have waited until after Final Combat for, like, a game-changing patch, in my opinion. They could have sucked it up. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't think so, brother. I don't think so. I don't know. It just did not resonate with me. I like some of the changes. I like some of the trends in the patch, but it just it's not enough to like bring real interest back to the game. And right now, with how they nerfed what they nerfed and buffed what they buffed, I don't really know if Final Combat is going to be at all interesting to watch, if I'm going to be honest. Unfortunately, out of the, the big three, even though I like to play MK1, it is the one I watch the least. I don't watch a lot of competitive MK1. Because I admit right now, the current meta of the game is very stale and very samey. Some of that has to do with stubbornness on NRS's parts. I think that listen, gotta accept it for what it is. NRS just clearly doesn't actually think that we know what we're talking about. Right? Like, there's definitely, I hate to say it, a pride component to the way that they've handled their last two games, especially MK11, where it was just flagrantly obvious that they were refusing to cave on anything about that game design-wise. Like they really thought, I think they really thought that we were gonna just like take that shit lying down, right? And eventually accept the game for what it was, and then we just never did, And I think that kind of got to them a little bit, if I'm being honest. And now, they've been better about this game, right? Like, compared to MK11, they've been infinitely better with this game when it comes to balancing. But they're still making a lot of the same mistakes. They overcompensate. They did a lot of overcompensating for the errors of the previous game when the game doesn't even have like the same structural foundation. That's a problem. I don't know. I'm in a weird place right now with MK1. I still like the game. It's still personally my favorite NRS MK game. But if you're thinking, how could I think that, blah, 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 that should tell you, like, what my bar is for MK. I like, as much as I make content about the games, as much as I like them, and as much as I love the people in the NRS scene, I don't think much of the games themselves. They just have, like, humongous flaws that have never been addressed that are throughout the games that make it hard to take them seriously as a competitive endeavor, even if it's fun to compete in them sometimes. I just, I don't know. And I don't know what could be done without, like, the problem is, I just can't see NRS making the kind of sacrifices and changes that I believe they would need to make to do anything effective. That's really what it comes down to. I just don't see them doing what needs to be really done. And I think at this point, I'm gonna be honest, I do think they've kind of reached a point where they're stubborn. There's like a pride there, and maybe a little bit understandable of a pride, by the way. I'm not even like trying to shit talk them, like it would be exhausting too. I'd be exhausted too if I was dealing with the NRS scene in the way that they ask for things. But of course, the problem is like Tom has said multiple times, there's a little bit of a problem with the fact that they lump the good criticism in with the shitheads. And that doesn't help anybody for them to do that. I understand why they do that, but it's just not good. It doesn't help anybody. I think... How do I put this? There we go. I don't know. I think you guys get what I'm trying to say. I'm mumbling here because I'm concentrating on this, but I think you guys get the gist of what I'm trying to say here. Like, now I don't know what the deal is as far as like how much they're actually able to work on this game. Of course, I don't know how their budget for patches is restricted, you know, or how often they can work towards making a patch or whatever. I don't know, obviously. But at this point, like after Final Combat, since the game is like supposedly truly done, unless the conspiracy theory that some people have floated ends up being true, that Legacy Collection is kind of meant to shore up what was lost by MK1 and justify continued support for the game by having another revenue stream come in. That could be possible. I highly doubt it, but you know, could be possible. But let's just assume that this is it for the game. If this is it for the game, then kind of how do I put this? Like, they should just let us have the game we want. Obviously, you can't give everyone everything they want, but Tom is right to call this out, that they actually do know who's reasonable and who's not with the things they say, and they do kind of dishonestly treat all the criticism as if it's all the same thing coming from the same source, and obviously that's just not true. I don't know why they do that, if it's just because the people that work there are sensitive, if they just want to use that to justify not having to work any harder on the games than they do. I don't know. I wish I did know, but really, I don't think we're capable of knowing what exactly is the deal there. But I do wish they didn't do that. I wish they didn't. Because I've tried, Tom's tried, many people have tried to earnestly criticize these games to make them better. Like, NRS doesn't seem to understand that we are trying to also help them, right? If the games are better by our definition, they'll be better. Period. It'll be better for NRS. They'll sell more. They'll get better PR. I don't understand why they don't need to see this. Yes, of course, there are some people that are going to be completely self-centered. They just want the game to be all about them. Of course, there are people who are like that. But I don't know, man. It kind of feels lame when it feels like participating in a community for a fighting game is just fruitless. Like, it's obvious that the Street Fighter developers, for example, Nakayama, and I forget the other guy, they obviously listen very carefully to what the player base thinks about the game, what their take on the balance is, and they, even though, and this is a huge distinction, while they have kept to their vision of the game, they have made very, very calculated and incisive changes to Street Fighter every year, in ways that have addressed people's complaints about the game while not compromising their own vision. They've done a lot of very smart alterations to the game. And I guess that's it, man. I guess NRS just needs to level up their game design sense. Like, it feels weird to have to say that, but I think that kind of is what it comes down to. They have to level up their sense of game design. Like, I'm gonna say this. It just feels like NRS still has a mentality that fighting games are a, like, Rock'em Sock'em Robots, like, attraction in the way that they were kind of looked at in the 90s by most people, instead of, like, what they are, which is something that it can be fun for the average person to mess around with, but something that is really targeted towards people who like complexity, strategy, getting better at something, competing, you know? It's like they only design their fighting games for the surface level of consumer. And we could see that you don't have to do that. They would sell, I guarantee you, if they were to make their games more like, let's say, traditional on the difficulty curve, on the balance curve, if they were to design more hard-lined archetype characters, etc., I don't think they would lose any sales. I think the idea that they have to keep their games the way they are for sales is kind of bullshit now. I don't agree. Because the casuals that would be alienated, I don't think that kind of casual exists, right? They're just either not going to even know what the difference is, or they're going to be in the realm of they know enough they can afford to get better and level up, if that makes sense. I don't think this mythical NRS customer that would drop the game because execution was slightly harder or something exists at all, personally. If you are someone who is like that, if you are an NRS player who you like high-level fighting games, but you actually play the games because of the simple execution, because of the simple strategies, then let me know. I actually want to know, but I just don't think this customer exists, personally. And even then, like, fighting games should not be chasing a... Fighting games are not going to get anywhere by chasing a massive customer base, in my opinion. Fighting games need to chase whales. That's what they kind of live off of more so, I think. They live off whales. People who will buy all the costumes, people who will, you know, buy every season pass every time, they'll buy the deluxe edition every time the new game is coming out. And guess who are the people that typically do that? It's the competitors that typically do that. Right? It's time to drop this notion that the top 1% of the player base doesn't matter, basically. That's what the line is from a lot of people, is that the top 1% don't necessarily matter because they're playing the game on a level that, like, nobody relates to. I think this is complete dog shit. I don't think it's real. I don't think it's a real problem. So... aside from that, right, so what am I thinking? I guess the problem I have here is, like,
Come again.
I guess I just don't like the deflecting, if this makes any sense. I feel like this is part of my issue. I feel like NRS, they want to deflect for whatever reason. Like, they just want to, like, I don't know. Here's the thing. If any NRS employees watching this, I can at least assure you that I am not here to dogpile on you. I am not here to give you shit. I love your games. I have fun with your games, but I am also here to help make them better. Right? Listen, I don't even mind me a customer to beta test your game. I don't care. Okay? As long as you deliver in the eventual, I will beta test your game, even if I have to buy it on full release to do that. I don't care about that, okay? Because I know enough about game development to know it's tough, and sometimes, you know, it's an ugly duckling situation when it comes to fighting games, especially, right? Like Street Fighter V. So, but the thing is, you need to understand that a lot of us, we want to help you make the games better. We are not trying to just criticize you. We're not trying to dogpile you. We're trying to help you make the games better overall in a way that benefits you also. Now, of course, like I said, there could be other factors in play that we all know about. Of course, behind the scenes stuff, but yeah. I'm sorry, this has been kind of a aimless ramble, I guess, but you know, I haven't made a video in a while, and I just kind of wanted to get on the mic and yap a little bit. I want to make a more structured video. I'm gonna make a video finally about, like, we need to go back to like hardline archetype kind of characters. I'm gonna finally make my video on that. Too late at this point, I guess, but like, I really stupidly thought that the game was going to be in a much better direction by this point. My fault. You know, I fell for it. I don't know. I think the problem was I was so enamored by how much of an improvement MK1 was over MK11 that I could not see the forest for the trees. And that's, you know, that's my fault. That's my error. But yeah, anyway, so let me know what you guys think. You know, as far as content goes, I'm gonna keep making content for the game, but I'm more into Street Fighter and Tekken right now. So there will be content for those games too going on. I'm gonna do a couple of I got a couple of tech videos coming down the pipe for Smoke, and I've actually got a how do I put this? I've actually got a matchup guide in the works for Smoke. I'm gonna do a first real matchup guide for a common matchup, which is Smoke versus Havoc. Because I think Smoke does alright in that matchup. He doesn't lose that. And I think a lot of people upplay Smoke's deficiencies in that matchup, kind of. Like a little bit of like a victimhood complex from the Smoke players. And I like to talk about that, but I'm gonna get out of your guys' hair. Appreciate you listening to me as always. And let me know what you guys think overall right now. And I especially want to know what your thoughts on what I had to say on this video is. Sorry for being so scatterbrained. I don't have a steady train of thought right now. Like I said, I just wanted to get on the mic and yap a bit. But thanks for listening as always. Thanks for subbing. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.